Hey, Bruce here with the 5-Minute Handyman. I am painting a room and want to show you what I do when I am painting the trim and the walls and show you the process I use. So let me show you some of the hardware and we'll talk about it. So here's what we have. This is a bedroom. We've got popcorn ceiling, so we're not going to be painting that, but we are going to be cutting a line along that edge, and I'll show you how to do that. But we're going to be also painting the baseboard and then the trim around the doors. Doors will not be painted, but the walls and the trim are all going to be painted. So let me show you what I've done so far. We have hardwood floors in this section of the house, and what I'm going to do is, because I've got hardwood floors here, the shoe molding that we have around the baseboard is the same color as the floor, and so we don't want to paint this. We want to just paint up to it. Now I could take my brush and very carefully just cut along the top edge, but as you can maybe see here, whoever did that last time ended up getting they got some little bit of white paint on there. And I've got a little bit better technique that I'd like to use for that. Now, if we were going to be painting this, what I like to do is I like to take this brown paper, and then I'll just kind of push it underneath the trim, and then I can take and I can paint on it, and then pull this out and guarantee a nice clean line. Here there's a little bit of a space, but further down there isn't a space, and so what I would do is I would take a thin knife blade and just lift it up a little bit so I could put my paper underneath. But we're painting up to the shoe molding, and so what I'll do is I'm going to use some of this blue painter's tape to cover over the shoe molding. And basically what I want to do is, I'm not going to use this painter's tape as a seal for me to just take my brush and just smack it over the top of this. I'm gonna use this as a protection so that some stray bristles don't go ahead and leave white marks on like the previous painter did. So when I put this down, what I'll do is I'll put one corner down and I'll take a couple inches away and I'll touch that down. Now if I just took my finger and pushed down the tape, there's a good chance that it could wrinkle. So what I do is I'll go back and tap it down, and then now I have a nice smooth piece of tape over my shoe molding. Okay, and then at the end here, what I'm going to do is see where the edge is. I'm just going to take and fold this down. Okay, so I just need to be careful here when I do underneath this part of the door frame. And what I'll do is I'll take some of this blue, or this brown paper, and I'll put that underneath here so that I just make sure I'm not going to get any paint on the hardwood floors. All right, and so I'll do that around the room. And let me just get this other corner here. I'll show you how we'll go about this process. And again, I'm really just using this as protection. I'm not gonna paint onto the blue paper or the blue tape. So before I start painting, I want to take and look and make sure that my caulk is good. And here I've got a crack area, and so what we'll do is we'll take our caulk gun, and I'm using a quick dry white siliconized acrylic, and what I do is when I'll take and put a little screw in the end to keep the caulk from drying out. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to run just a little bit of a bead over that spot, Then I'll take my finger and run it back over. All right, so now that's going to be a nice clean transition for when I'm painting. And so I'm not going to start painting here, but I'll start in the corner just to show you the process that I'm using for this part of the job. And so I've got my brush. I started in one of the other rooms yesterday, and so I've got this cover, and it's kept my brush nice and moist. This is actually 2 days worth of sitting, and I've got a container of paint. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip into the paint, and I'm going to wipe on the sides here, just kind of tap it a little bit, because what I want to do is I want to get the paint inside the bristles of the brush and not on the outside. So I'll just do a little bit of a tapping here. Now we're gonna paint the baseboard first, and then I'm gonna paint the walls afterwards. And so it's okay for me to get some up on the wall. In fact, I want to get some on the wall because then I can have a nice clean line. Okay, so now if you're painting white on white, or the same color paint on another surface at the same color, if it's blue on blue or whatever, when you first pull it over dry wood, it has a little bit different sound than when it starts getting covered with paint. And so that's how you can tell that you are getting good coverage. And so what I'm doing here is I'm just taking some of the paint that's in my brush and getting it onto the baseboard, and then I'm just going to go back and forth over here to get good coverage. All right, so now I have some paint a little bit on the wall here, and you can see that there's just a couple of stray brush marks on my tape, and that's exactly what I want to do. Is I want to just use that tape to protect any stray bristles from hitting down onto my shoe molding. So once I have my section done, and let's say if I go all the way down the baseboard with this, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel this off immediately. And when I peel it, I'm going to peel it back from the wall. I'm not going to peel it up because it could end up scraping some of the paint. And so I'll peel this back, and as you can see, I've got a nice clean edge here. And so that's the process that I want to use for when I'm doing the baseboard. And get this done, let this dry nice, and then I can come and I can cut around with the wall color paint and get a nice clean edge here. And so that's the process I use to get baseboard painted. If you find this useful, please subscribe to my channel, like the video, and leave some comments about what kind of things you'd like me to explain and show how to do. Bruce with the 5 Minute Handyman. Thanks for watching.